Kamya, Yaini, V Kavya, good evening beta. Good evening beta. Send the link in the group and tell everyone to join as fast as possible. Fine. So last class we were discussing about just 1 minute. Nandini, Akshaya, good evening. Send the link in the group and tell everyone to join beta. Okay. Where is the class? Okay, last class we were discussing about periodic classification. In that periodic classification, I discussed how in period and group means how the presentation of electronic configuration is so important there. See, electronic configuration throughout the group remains the same. Because of this, the chemical property of the element remains the same throughout the group. Okay, this was the very important point I discussed last class. Now, today we are going to talk about ionic radii. Before ionic radii, we are going to discuss about atomic radii. Okay, atomic radii, ionic radii. Today we are going to discuss about periodicity. So, periodic property of periodic table we are going to discuss. I hope everyone is now joining. Madhumita, good evening beta. Good evening Kavya. Link sent. Very good beta. Thank you so much. So now one by one we are exactly going to understand about ionic radii, atomic radii, and why atomic radius. One CBSE important question is that why we will not be able to find the exact atomic radius. This is a very important point. Srivatsan, good evening. Rashmi, but position of H is not defined. Why? Because hydrogen is having an anomalous behavior. Hydrogen is exactly belonging to alkali metal and halogen family, because hydrogen has the both tendency to lose electron or gain electron because of 1s1 beta. It can either be making it as H plus or it can be H minus because of it. But in modern periodic table, we have given it S1 because of its tendency to SPDF. According to SPDF rule, we have exactly, because since the atomic number of hydrogen is 1, so because of that 1s1 that fits the hydrogen, and because of which it is exactly present in the periodic table in alkali metals. Okay, for yes, alkali metals, there are two different type of S block, alkali and alkaline earth metal. It is exactly going to be present in alkali metal because of SPDF rule. Okay, so since SPDF rule is exactly telling that the first electron is filled in 1s orbital, and because of that only hydrogen has got the place in alkali metal group. Okay Rashmi? Okay Rashmi, that is the only thing, and that's what hydrogen anomalous behavior because of donating electron and gaining electron will be there, but position in the periodic table is due to SPDF rule, and that's what in the position of hydrogen is quite stable in periodic table right now. Okay, Sarthak, good evening beta. Good evening Sarthak. So now we are going to understand one very important point. So van der Waals part we are going to discuss today. So most important things we are going to discuss. I think last class we were talking about periodicity property, periodic properties. Before periodic property I need to discuss, so these content I have discussed, I told you in the previous videos, each and every, Rahul good evening, each and every content I discussed about group and period. So why in a particular period same orbit electrons are getting filled and what and all contents are there, we have discussed in the previous class. So now Auntie, also why metallic character increases down a group. Metallic character increases down a group I am going to teach today. Okay, so you have to be with me today. So discuss the atomic that is metallic character. Now before metallic character beta, first we are going to understand what is periodic properties. So now we already know that the elements present in the periodic table, they are exactly represented successively in the form of group and periods. So it is not only group, also periods. So now through period wise and group wise, the properties of the element, the changing properties of the element across from left to right and top to bottom, when we are going to discuss, that will become the periodic property. Okay. Yes, sharp at 8 p.m. Maheshwal. So the properties which are directly or indirectly related to electronic configuration, because for atoms, we have exactly understood yesterday that atoms or the elements which are exactly represented because of its atomic number, they have a specific electronic configuration and the valence shell electrons. So the representation of valence shell electron are exactly one of a very important property in the modern periodic table, and because of this only we know that properties what we are going to discuss, they are either directly connected or indirectly connected to electronic configuration. So which is exactly going to give a regular gradation. Regular gradation means either on going from left to right, some of the properties will be showing change. Change means they may either increase or they may either decrease. So that periodic properties due to change in electronic configuration, we are exactly, so repeat after interval, periodic properties, repeat after interval. What was that? No problem beta, no problem Mahesh, I am going to be sharp at 8 o'clock. Fine. So I am just going to discuss one more time, Rashmi, the property which are directly or indirectly related to electronic configuration. It is showing a regular gradation. Okay, so when we move from left to right in a period or top to bottom, and that changes is exactly called as periodic properties. So now we know there are many periodic properties. Okay, so one by one we are going to discuss or understand the periodic properties. So what does periodic properties are, we are going to discuss about that. But first, what is periodic property? The changes according to change in electronic configuration. There may be the electronic configuration is one of a reason behind change in the properties. One of a reason behind, directly or indirectly, it is what you call influencing the changes in the properties. So that is also called as periodic properties. They will never ask what is periodic properties. They will be exactly talking about the periodic properties. So now first we are going to understand, see what and all are important that is present in the atom. Rashmi, come on, tell me, an atom is containing the subatomic particles. What are the subatomic particles? Come on, quickly type and say. Means that periodic, repeat after intervals. Okay, so that is repeated after an interval, and there is a successive beta, the trend is there, the trend is there. So what and all are present, everyone start typing. For an atom, the subatomic particles are, the subatomic particles are, because for understanding this part you have to understand everything like a story. Okay, so now what in all, neutron, proton and electron are called as the subatomic particles. Absolutely correct, Rashmi. Now we know that one very important point is there, just understand this point, that in the nucleus neutron and proton are present. In the nucleus neutron and proton are there. Okay, and in the extra nuclear part orbits are there and their electrons are present. So this everybody is knowing. Now CBSE question we are going to discuss. So I am just asking a very important point here, that what is exactly called as nuclear charge. So here you have to understand that the proton and neutron present inside and the electron present outside, they have some type of attractive force, So the proton present inside and electron present outside, they put some attraction with each other. So that can be considered as nuclear charge. For time being, I want you to remember like this. Fine. So now next is screening or shielding effect. Now what is called as screening or shielding effect? In a classroom, just understand like a story. I don't want you to now understand like a very big things like screening, shielding. In a classroom, the teacher is present and there are 4, 5, 6 rows present. the first row students are very attentive, the second row student are less attentive, the third, fourth, the last row student, if they will play also, teacher will not be considering that, because teacher won't have time to go there and check what the student is doing. Basically this happens. That is exactly a type of effect, but that is in about classroom. So something like that same thing happens. You might be seeing that the first or second bencher students now, they answer to the teacher very nicely. Means teacher will ask a question now, they will immediately answer the question, means every time, and they will become the favorite of this teacher. And every time when teacher will ask the question, she will be expecting that, or he will be expecting that that person will answer the question. So this is what, so the last bench student now, they will lose affection. They will feel like, yeah, we are just waste people, we are exactly sitting at the last bench. So you will be losing that affection, you will be losing that affection with the teacher. Though there is a attraction between the two, teacher and the student of the last bench, but because of the middle bencher na, they are exactly very nicely attentively listening to the teacher and answering the question. So the student of the last bench will lose the affection with the teacher. So is this the fault of the teacher or the student of the last bench? So this is not the student problem of the last bench, teacher, student also, or teacher also. The problem is in between students present. So in between student present, they create a type of repulsive force. Repulsive force means they have attraction for the teacher and they are answering the question of the teacher, and they are exactly very near to the teacher. And the last bencher, they are hindered because of the presence of the middle part. Same thing happens in the atom. So the atom is exactly having the same replication. So now the nucleus will release a nuclear charge, and this nuclear charge will attract all the electrons present in the extra nuclear part. Now electrons are negatively charged. Okay, so they will always put a repulsive force. See, inside your brain now, when you are inside a class now, no matter how much friendship you are having with the friend, when it talks about examination, now you will have a type of friction there. You will have a type of friction there, and that time you will be thinking that how to defeat that, how to defeat my friend, how to defeat this one, how to defeat that one. So that competition is inside. In the same way, same electrons, take all the electrons as student, so they are all coming under the category of student, negatively charged, so they will have a repulsive force. So due to this repulsive force, the outermost orbit electron or the valence shell electron will get hindered. They will exactly get hindered. This is exactly called a screening or shielding effect. Okay, so I hope you might have understood. I tried to explain it in a very simple way. Now effective nuclear charge, though the student and the teacher in the last bench have a type of less attraction, but overall there is a type of attraction. The student will not be called as the student of other class, the student will be called as the student of that teacher class only. Okay, so the overall attraction after repulsion, the leftover attraction after repulsion force is exactly called as effective nuclear charge. Means after cancelling all the repulsion, whatever minimal amount of attraction from the teacher to the last bench student is left, that is called as effective nuclear charge. I hope you might have understood a small point of it. So now I am repeating the content one more time. Fine. So just understand this. Now understand it in atomic point of view. In atom point of view, understand. So what is exactly called as nuclear charge? So when somebody will be telling that ki neutron and proton na, they have a very special relation. Okay. That valency, yes beta, I will be explaining about that valence shell electron, the outermost orbit electrons, Rashmi. Valence shell electron, outermost shell electron, previous classes you were not there now. So I talked about atomic orbitals also, I discussed about, Rashmi. In that shifting of orbital electron, putting in that orbital also I have discussed. So only I am using the word valence shell electron. Okay. So valence shell electron I am using. Okay. This word I am using there beta. Okay beta. Now look here, I'm just going to explain this part one more time. So what is nuclear charge? First understand the behavior of an atom. Inside the atom, neutron and proton are there. Now, what happens inside the nucleus and why this nuclear charge is coming? Now you have to understand that there will be number of protons and there will be number of neutrons inside the nucleus. But you have to understand one thing, that inside nucleus all protons are positively charged. All protons are positively charged. Just understand the behavior very nicely. Now between proton and proton neutron will be there. Every time between proton and proton, neutron will be there. Then you will be asking, auntie, why between proton and proton neutron will be there? The reason behind is protons are positively charged. Okay, now they will have repulsion, because same charges repel each other. Understand this point. So inside the nucleus protons are present, the protons are going to repel each other. So to reduce this repulsive force, neutron will be there. So these neutron balances the repulsive force, and in return they create a pi meson force. This pi meson force or pi meson charge will be exactly, it is called as pi meson. Okay, so it reduces. So neutron between, that's why in the nucleus you will always see the number of neutron may be equal to number of proton, or number of neutron equal to number of proton, but you will never see number of neutron less than number of proton. This never happens, because this generates stability, this generates stability, but this generates instability, because proton is positively charged. So they will start repulsive force. Okay, so to stabilize that, what they are actually doing is they need proton in between two proton, one neutron, then again between two proton, one neutron. So they are exactly stabilizing. So at the time when they stabilize, in the universe there is no other, see, always we see positive and negative attracting each other, but have you ever seen a neutral and a positive? They are creating a type of they are putting a type of arrangement and stabilizing the structure. So this is exactly nuclear charge. That's why the atom structure, so nuclear force is the strongest force which bind the nucleus and neutron and proton together in the nucleus. Okay, so this nuclear force is the strongest force which is exactly binding neutron and proton together. So this story I hope you might have understood. So now to hold them together, they create a type of force, and the force are binding, and they release a type of energy that is called as nuclear charge. So from the nucleus an energy is released. So this energy work is to hold the electron present in the outermost orbit. Okay, so what is the work of the nuclear charge or the charge coming from the nucleus? So that work is to hold the electron present in the outer orbit. Fine. So now it is going to attract the electron and hold it. Okay, now problem is what? So this is called as nuclear charge. Now what is the problem there? Good evening Renu, good evening Sudarshan, good evening Gaver. So what is the problem here? The problem is not a very big problem, a small problem is there. Now electron will be present, and you know that repulsive force will be there. Repulsive, same charges repel each other. So electron, same students in the class. So you have a very favorite teacher, and that moment the teacher is coming inside the class, you all wants to create an impression because she is going to give you score, or he is going to give you score, internal score. So you want to perform the best in presence of the teacher, yes or no? So definitely you will have competition in the class. So same way electron, all are like students only. So they are wanting that nuclear charge. They want that attractive force. So what they will do? So the near one electrons will be exactly putting a repulsive force on each other. So internal electrons are at, you know what, each and every orbit are electrically stable. Stable means कि after filling the lower orbitals we are going towards the outer cell. Okay, so I told you the energy, lower energy level to higher energy level. So first we fill the lower energy level, means lower orbit, orbit number 1, orbit number 2, orbit number 3, and then we go to the outer orbit. This is a normal one. Yesterday itself I have discussed. So here also same thing is happening. So first we are filling 2 electron, then 8 electron, then 18 electron. So what happened in the outermost orbit where 2 electrons are present? So these 2 electrons, so inside it is exactly neutral electrically, because how many orbits were needing the electron, they are exactly getting, so it is totally fulfilled. Now this, they are exactly going to create a repulsive force for this. So because of this repulsive force, presence of the inner very nicely arranged electrons and their repulsive force, this will exactly experience a type of shielding or screening effect. The presence of these electrons, they will exactly repel the outermost orbit. So this is exactly called a screening effect. Yes beta, one thing is there, I'm just going to discuss this gamer Rocky. Here you have to understand one thing beta. Yes, electron extra nuclear part, the outer region is very big beta. Outer region is very big. So there electron means, and you know that electrons are present in orbitals, s orbital, p orbital. So there is a pattern of movement of electron. Electron are never stable. They will in the particular orbital na, spdf cells na beta, they will keep on dancing inside them also. If you will see that, they will move either in dumbbell, double dumbbell shell, the electrons will keep on dancing. So they will be exactly releasing energy and they will be present in their particular orbit. Okay, so in particular orbit they will be using their energy and they will be exactly moving in that orbit. So there you have to understand that. So since the movement of electron will be there in that orbital, so they will be showing its charge. They will be showing its charge, and it is a very important point. Okay game. First cell lower concentration, second cell, absolutely correct Akshaya. Tanishka, what is the doubt beta? So there is nucleus is also, it is living thing. No, nucleus is not a living thing. Nucleus binds the electron present in the extra nuclear part, Tanishka. That is not the living part of the cell. The nucleus is having a nuclear charge, and this nuclear charge is present because of the presence of neutron and proton. The neutron and proton are exactly together by a pi meson force. Pi meson charge will be exactly present inside that hold them together. Okay. Now you have to understand this beta, that is a very big vast organic vast electron structure, and that specific movement of the electron will be there. That's why beta, you know gamer, one very important point I am discussing. See, electron cloud na, it keeps on moving, and because of that you cannot be able to get the atomic radius very specifically. That's why we will not be able to get the atomic radius. I hope I could have shown you the structure of movement of electrons in the outermost orbit. They keep on moving. They will never be stable beta. Okay, so now for time being we are going to go back to our class to understand. So exactly we till now we have understood now. So these electrons are exactly going to put a repulsive force with each other and to the outer one. So it is exactly called as screening effect or shielding effect. But overall, since nuclear charge coming from the nucleus will be effective for all the orbits, because according to the atomic structure, the nuclear charge has to be effective till the outermost orbit. So there will be a net attraction for the outermost valence electron cells also. So that will be coming as effective nuclear charge. That will be coming as effective nuclear charge. Pushing out the last orbit electron, no, it's like beta neglecting the last orbit electron, like the last bencher. So when you will be present in the first two bench now, you will always be feeling proud. Not at the time of test and all. At the time when you are exactly present with the teacher and discussing something with the teacher, that time you will be, yeah, the last benchers now, they never concentrate. So when the teacher will scold now, you will feel very proud. We are studying, the teacher is listening, we are listening to the teacher, the last bencher they are playing. So like that, if you are last bencher, please don't mind, I am also belonging to the last bench only. Okay. Okay, so that is a very important point to discuss. So this will be exactly offline test. I am going to explain, I'll tell you the date beta. So this will, I think you have understood this. So periodic properties, among the periodic properties, the three important discussion we have discussed. Now see in definition what they are telling. What is nuclear charge? Nuclear charge is represented by capital Z, screening or shielding effect, and effective nuclear charge. So now first, what is a nuclear charge? The total attractive force exerted by the proton present in the nucleus on the electron present in the extra nuclear is termed as nuclear charge. Proton exactly releasing the attractive force for the electron, that is coming as nuclear charge. This we have already discussed. Come on, tell me now, this point is first bench also you can sleep, not possible there. So now look here. So I hope the first point is clear to you. What is a nuclear charge? Nucleus, from the nucleus, proton is putting an attractive force to the electrons present in the extra nuclear part. So that force of attraction is called as nuclear charge. Come on, tell me, this part you have understood? I am going to explain it again beta. I am going to go to the screening effect. I am not going to leave a single part beta. So I hope you might have understood. By definition I have discussed. First with example I have discussed. Now I am just discussing with definition. So what is nuclear charge? With definition we have discussed. So Z. So it is denoted for number of cells. Beta here number of cells also, where we are going to talk it as nuclear charge is denoted by Z, capital Z. Okay. Number of cells, KLMN, we are putting it. So n equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, 2n square rule is there. Okay. So now we are going to understand screening or shielding effect. Screening or shielding effect. Now what is the repulsive force felt by the valence cell electron from the electrons present in the inner cells is called screening or shielding effect. As clear as anything. The middle bencher, first bencher, all now they keep on talking to the teacher. Now the outside, the last bencher now, they will always feel that they are out of the world. Means out of the world means out of the class. Why out of the class? They feel like these children are very good. Sometimes the last bench, now I am a permanent last bencher, so I always used to feel that because of height also sometimes teachers are exactly letting the students sit in the last bench. So that is not the problem. The problem here is sitting in the last bench and seeing all of them are reading. That time you feel out of the world. So that out of the class you feel you will watch from the window also outside now. Nobody is going to see you. So that part will be coming. But first bench, second bench now, when they will turn their head also, teacher will say, hey, what you did. So that is what. So you will feel like a bit disheartened. So this is the screening effect. What is the screening effect? Is the repulsive force felt by the valence cell electrons. So valence cell electrons are feeling a type of repulsive force from the electron present in the inner cell. The first cell, second cell, third cell electrons are exactly going to put a repulsive force. This repulsive force is experienced by whom? Over the valence cell electrons are experiencing a repulsive force. Okay, they are experiencing what beta? They are experiencing a type of repulsive force. Okay, so it depends on average number of electron between the nucleus and the electron present in the valence cell. So how much repulsive force will be there? That will be totally dependent upon the inner orbit electrons. That is called as shielding or screening effect. Now come on, quickly tell me, distraction is high. Correct only. For me distraction was very high. So I hope you might have understood. I hope you might have understood that what is exactly shielding or screening effect. Shielding or screening effect, if you want to understand, then understand first row children, second row, third row, they are nicely taken care of by the teacher. The last row students are feeling always alone and they will feel disheartened. So like that, so this is exactly the feeling of the electron present in the outermost orbit. They always feel a repulsive force because of the presence of this inner orbit electrons. Okay, so I hope you might have understood this meaning of screening or shielding effect, this meaning of shielding. Or your doubt, Akshaya, what is your doubt? Beta, I have not seen, I was explaining that. So auntie, my doubt, Akshaya, just 1 minute wait beta. Auntie, why is the first cell lower concentration? It should be high, it should be right higher, because the thing here is, Akshay, you have to understand that when we talk about orbits na beta, so energy, so you have to understand that कि always it is difficult to take out the electron from the first orbit. So first orbit is having lower energy level. Lower energy level means the more the orbit will be becoming bigger, the presence of electrons and SPDF cells presence in that orbits or orbitals will become very high. So we always say that ki first orbit is having low energy level. We call them as low energy level, and the more we are going up, it is exactly coming as higher energy level. So lower energy level, ma'am, can once again second part, yes beta. So screening or shielding effect is nothing, gamer. The screening or shielding effect is beta, like you are sitting in the last bench and the electrons present in the inner orbit now, just take like this. So first orbit is having low energy level. The reason behind is very simple. You have to understand that whenever you go from first orbit to lower orbit, see energy level is having a full shot of information. Now understand, gamer. Now beta, you are present here and these electrons are present inside. Everyone pay attention. I am going to discuss about lower energy level to higher energy level also. So now these electrons are present now, so they are hiding the nucleus, or they are taking the nuclear charge before them, before the outermost electron. So this is exactly called a screening or shielding effect. Okay, so whatever teacher's care and affection is coming, it is first going to the near orbit and then to the outermost one. So the outermost electron is experiencing a type of repulsive force because of the presence of the electron in the inner orbit. So that is exactly called a screening or shielding effect. It is called as screening or shielding effect. Now going to the orbit story, beta. Now we always say that, see, understand one simple thing. Like, you know one story, Arib, because you have asked this question now, so I am going to say you one story. Arib, every time your father was giving you 100 rupees, okay. So now you belong to family A. I am just discussing one thing. You belong to family A, I belong to family B, and I think we are going to take the name of Akshaya. Akshaya belong to family C. So we three belong to three different family. So now what happened? Your pocket money is 100. My pocket money is 150 and Akshaya pocket money is 200. So every time you are getting this pocket money, everyone listen to my story, you will understand everything in quite sure way. So now every time your father is giving you 100 rupees, me 150, Akshaya 200. Now every time we both are looking to Akshaya, every time we both are looking to Akshaya and we are saying that, hey, she is very rich yaar, she is getting 200 rupees pocket money. So look here, understand one thing. To rotate in the outer orbit, we need to have more energy inside us, because the orbit is very big. Okay, the orbit is very big and we must possess that much energy to rotate outside. So that's why we are saying that from inner to outward, the energy increases. Okay, now one day what Arif did, Arif now took 200 rupees extra from father and he totally went towards outermost orbit. The moment he went in the outermost orbit now, he saw that the lifestyle of Akshaya is totally different. She is really giving so much money here and there. So what Arif did, Arif started living the same life what Akshaya is living. So to live in the outermost orbit, Akshaya need to release more energy. Okay, so what happened? Arif started releasing energy. So Arif has 200 rupees. So Arif just lost 200 rupees in no time. And the moment he lost that 200 rupees now, he again thrown back in first orbit. It is just like, then one day I too also decided that I want to become like Akshaya. I only took 50 rupees from outside and I jumped toward Akshaya's life. The moment I went there now, I started releasing energy. I started releasing energy. So I have to live the life like Akshaya. So I started releasing energy. The moment I started releasing energy now, I became energyless. Then I again jumped back to the inner orbit. The smaller orbit, the electrons revolving, they do not use, because they are very near to the nucleus. So their energy usage is lesser in compared to that of the outer orbit. So outer orbit energy part will be more. So that's why we say that we always jump from lower energy level to higher energy level. So when you will jump from lower energy level to higher energy level, you will start releasing energy. and the moment you will release energy, something will be there, they will push you back towards the lower. So that's why the lower orbits are totally stable in compared to that of the outer orbit. I hope you might have understood this story. So this is the best way to tell you this was the best way to tell you the complete part of chemistry in a very simple way. Understood? I hope you might have understood this point. Clear now? So that's why beta the lower energy level means they release less energy in compared to higher. So that's why the lower orbits are exactly called as lower energy levels to higher energy levels. Lower energy levels to higher energy. Electron in various orbit have different energy antis. Yes, that is what. So that's why now we fill 3D orbit first orbital, and then we that time at the time of teaching SPDF rule, what I taught you at the time of teaching SPDF, what I discussed, I told now first 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s2. So this is exactly going from lower energy to higher energy. So first we are filling first orbit 2 electron in s orbital, and then second orbit s orbital, then p orbital, and then we are jumping towards third orbit. So that is exactly going from lower energy to higher energy, lower energy to higher energy. I hope you might have understood. Shall we go back to the next point, please? So now I am going to go to the third point, that is called as effective nuclear charge. I told you now, after repulsive force, whatever small amount of attraction is left, that is exactly called as, that is effective nuclear charge. So in multi-electron atom means the atom having more number of electrons. The electron in the valence shell experience an attractive force from the nucleus and a repulsive force from the electron in the inner shell. The actual force felt by the valence shell electron is called effective nuclear charge. So after means repulsive force because of the electrons. Now understood, gamer, did you understood this point now beta, that electron repulsive force the valence shell electron is experiencing, the outermost electron, the outermost orbit electron, it is experiencing a type of what? Repulsive force because of the electron present in the inner orbit, and an attractive force because of the presence of the nucleus. So the overall force what it is experiencing, so overall force what C is experiencing, the overall force what the valence shell electron is experiencing, that will be exactly called as effective nuclear charge. That will be called as effective nuclear charge. Yes Akshaya, the C will be exactly having more energy level. Okay, so that orbit will have more energy. So I think you might have understood effective nuclear charge. Because you are very near to the nucleus, if you are exactly, that is what Sudarshan from the beginning I am discussing, that when you are very near to the teacher, your concentration will automatically become good, because first bench you are sitting means you are experiencing more attractive force coming from the nucleus, you are directly in contact with the nucleus, so 100% you will be experiencing more force. Okay, so now we are going to discuss about atomic radius. I hope you might have understood. I think one picture is there. Did I miss that? See here. So this is exactly screening or shielding effect. So what is the screening and shielding effect is, the electron present in the valence shell, they are exactly experiencing two type of force. One is attractive force, attraction force. This attraction force is exactly because of the presence of the nuclear charge. So this nuclear charge is exactly trying to attract it. So this is a type of attraction force. But the electrons of negative charges, they are exactly creating a repulsive force. So that experience of repulsive force is there. So as Kame, I hope you might have understood this one. The electron repulsive force, electron and nucleus attractive force. So overall force what the extranuclear electrons are experiencing, or outermost valence shell electron is experiencing, that is called as effective nuclear charge. That is called as effective nuclear charge. that is called as effective nuclear charge. I am just wanting my children to one more time listen to my points. Okay, don't go here and there, don't discuss about force and all that. Just understand that attractive force, nucleus, electron in the outermost orbit. Repulsive force, electron, inner orbit electron, and the outermost orbit electron, repulsive force. So overall net force, Tanishka, overall net force is called as effective nuclear charge. Overall net force is called as beta effective nuclear charge. So shall we go back to the next point, and that is exactly the next point is coming as atomic radius. Now I already discussed somewhat about, understood auntie? Okay, come here. Now look here beta, atomic radius. This is another important point to discuss. So now okay, gamer, understood now? Now you have to understand that ki if somebody will tell that distance, so now radius is what? Radius is what? So then you will say that auntie, you are asking about radius. Center and circumference distance is radius auntie. So in the same way, the center of the nucleus and center of the valence shell electron present in the outermost orbit, that will become the atomic radius. So valence shell electron present in the outermost orbit, its center and the center of the nucleus will become the atomic radius. So this is the definition of atomic radius I said. Okay. Now you know one another important point. The electrons are not free and dancing like this. This is exactly the preliminary picture of electron. But electrons are not present in the orbit like this. Free electrons are not there. Actually, the electrons will be present in orbit in subcells. So what are the cells? S orbital, p orbital, d orbital. So electrons will be present in orbitals. Electrons will be present in orbitals. So that is what we are telling, that the valence shell electron, the last electron which is filling in the orbital, that electron distance with the center of the nucleus, that will become the atomic radius. That will become the atomic radius. Okay. Understood? Understood Ashutosh? That will become the atomic radius. Fine. So now, are we be able to get the correct atomic radius? Is it possible to get the correct atomic radius? You itself think beta that is 2 pi r, correct only. So what is exactly, will we be able to get the correct atomic radius? Is it possible to get the correct atomic radius? First tell me this thing. Is it possible to get the correct atomic radius? Because this is not my question, this is CBSE question. Is it possible to get the correct atomic radius? You have to answer yes. The answer is no. We cannot get the correct atomic radius. So what are the reason behind we will not be able to get the correct atomic radius? One thing is like, I cannot stand in one place perfectly. This is my problem. If you will be seeing me, you will always see me that I am dancing. I'm dancing. I'm always unstable. I'm never static. I'm always dynamic. Dynamic means I'll be always moving. Okay. So now here what is the reason behind it? There are two reasons. An atom is unstable and it cannot be isolated to get its radius. Simple concept na yaar. And that simple concept is most of the atoms present in the periodic table, they cannot exist in free state. They will always be existing in the combining state. So combining state they will be na, like metals will be releasing electron, and ionic compound they will be forming, covalent will be there. Only the noble gases they will have a van der Waal. So I will be explaining about van der Waal radius about them. So they will be unstable. Okay. So here you have to understand, you have to understand this point. An atom is unstable and it cannot be isolated to get its radius, because atoms most important point is ki I cannot be staying alone na, I need a friend to talk to. You cannot in the school cannot be alone na, so you definitely have a friend. So in the same way, an atoms cannot be isolated, means if it will be isolated it will be unstable, then again it will combine with someone and form a compound, and that will become the stable state. So to get the atomic radius we are isolating it, so that time it will be unstable, so we cannot be getting the perfect atomic radius that time. That is the simple concept there. Second is the electron cloud around the atom do not have sharp boundaries, and that is what the second point what I am having problem. If you want to take my picture, I will keep on dancing, means I will never be stable. In the same way, electron will never be static in the orbital, in the cell, dumbbell, double dumbbell, so spin, they will always be spinning, they will always be moving. So to get the correct sharp boundary of the electron in the valence part or the outermost orbit is very difficult. So getting the atomic radius, perfect atomic radius, is not possible. So these are the two important points. Rest other whatever point is there in your mind, don't talk about those things, just think these 2 points. The outermost orbit electron cloud, the electron cloud is never stable. So you cannot get a very sharp boundary between the center and the outermost orbit, not possible. Second is, atoms cannot exist in free state always. If you are isolating it, if you are exactly releasing and finding the one which is exactly isolated, that will be highly unstable, it will not allow to take out the radius. So these 2 points are there. Because of that, finding the electron atomic number is quite difficult. I hope you might have understood. Yeah, noble you can be able to find. Noble you will be able to find. Okay, so noble gases will be exactly quite stable. Okay. Monoatomic. So now we are going to understand the trend of atomic radius across the period and down the group. Trend of atomic radius. Now one very simple thing is there. Trend of atomic radius. That is what Akshay talked about, noble gases. Yeah, noble gases sorry, noble gases will be exactly stable and that time, but across the period down, that means normally you will not be getting. So we have to talk about the full element present in the periodic table. So noble gases, noble gas family, they are exactly stable. Octet rule is exactly, they are quite stable. So because of that, they are they can be giving the atomic radius, but not about, what about the rest other elements? What about the rest other element? They won't be supporting you. Okay, so now Sudarshan, what is the point, beta? But some atoms will be stable in element form. Yes, carbon. When you are talking about carbon now, you have to understand one thing, Sudarshan. I think at the time of discussing carbon, I told the carbon atomic structure now exactly gives a very special feature to carbon. The presence of 4 electron in the outermost orbit now invites other element. So it is a type of inviting only, Sudarshan. It will be forming, if no one carbon will take na, it will start forming what you call bond with another carbon atom. So when carbon is exactly carbon atom is stable when it is combining and forming covalent bond. The covalent bond formed by carbon with other element, they are stable. Are you talking about carbon alone, single carbon? Think about it. Think about it, Sudarshan. I am talking about the atom in the isolated state. The atom in the isolated state. You take carbon in isolated state. Will it allow you to take the atomic radius of its? Specifically when it is having 4 electrons in the outermost orbit. That is not a single carbon, it is carbon catenation. Catenation means carbon-carbon link, Sudarshan. They are not isolated carbon atom. They are carbon-carbon link or chain. That is called as catenation. And that is carbon-carbon link in graphite is exactly tetrahedral. Sorry, in graphite is hexagonal. In diamond is tetrahedral. And in that only you have understood now one carbon is linked to 4 more carbon. Then where is isolated carbon, dear? Where is isolated carbon? Understood, Sudarshan? Where is isolated carbon, beta? We have to think very precisely. So I'm just talking about the atom in isolated state, unstable, not allowing to get the atomic radius. Okay, so now we are going to talk about across a period atomic radius. So we know that same orbit, electrons keeps on adding from left to right. Okay, simple thing we are going to understand that same orbit. Sai, hi Sai, good evening Sai. Yes, so you have to understand this part, that across the period, explanation of across the period you are only going to give. I am just explaining a very important point, just lithium, beryllium, boron, carbon. So if I am going to check lithium, beryllium, boron, carbon, so lithium first orbit 2 electrons, outer orbit 1 electron, boron first orbit 2 electron, lithium, beryllium, boron, carbon. So first orbit 2 electron, outer orbit 3 electron. Now first same structure, same orbit, now electrons keeps on getting added. So what can be the situation? Tell me, the effective nuclear charge keeps on increasing. The more electron in the outermost orbit keeps on getting added in the same orbit. So here we are talking about orbit number 2, orbit number 2, orbit number 2, orbit number 2. From in a period number 2, in second period, the elements from left to right, they are experiencing filling of electron in the same orbit. So the electron keeps on getting in the same orbit. So the nuclear charge will keep on exactly increasing, and the electron present in the outermost orbit keeps on increasing. So what will happen? The structure will become big or the structure will become small, because electron in the outermost orbit keeps on getting added, and the nucleus will keep on exactly attracting them and taking it near. So what will happen? Come on, quickly say. Yes, Sai, how are you, beta? How are you? After so long, I am just seeing your yes, small, absolutely, Kamya. So Sai, we are exactly studying a very important point. So we have understood a very important thing here. So exactly the structure will keep on getting smaller. So that means from left to right, the size will, atomic radius will reduce. So we understood it in our own concept. The nuclear charge will keep on increasing and it will hold the electron. The electron, number of electrons is also increasing. So it will exactly make them a bit closer. So this will happen. Now from carbon, nitrogen, and then what will happen? Okay, fine. If it can keep on getting smaller left to right. Okay, it will keep on getting smaller left to right, but here at the time when it will go for halogen, okay, like fluorine, the structure will be quite smaller. So fluorine atomic radius is a smaller in compared to that of exactly this one, because here outermost orbit 7 electrons are there. Then what will happen? The structure keeps on getting small, and then comes the noble gas. So noble gas, the structure will become bigger in compared to that of fluorine. Then why this problem? Why this is exactly happening? That here in the noble gas, the structure becomes quite big, but here the trend is coming reduce because of addition of electron in the same orbit. But the moment it will go to that place, it is exactly becoming big. What is the reason behind? What is the reason behind? Who can answer this question? What is the reason behind? So after going for noble gas, neon, the structure of neon is bigger than fluorine. Why this story? Why this problem? Stable, absolutely correct. Stability is one of the reason behind it. Stability is one of the reason, and beta van der Waal radius. So this noble gases, they will have van der Waal radius. I am going to discuss about van der Waal radius, covalent radius and metallic radius. 3 radius I am going to discuss now, because I am just going to discuss atomic radius now. So I am going to discuss van der Waal radius. So I am going to discuss now van der Waal radius. So what is exactly van der Waal radius? Noble gases are having van der Waal radius. So now you will be thinking that suddenly auntie started discussing something very stupid. So now you have to understand one thing, that what is exactly van der Waal radius. So see, you have to understand, when one atom and another atom, they share electron, then they are exactly forming covalent radii. So how the bond will be? You see here, when they share, so there exactly the structure will come close to each other. It is covalent radius. Okay. So now if we are going to discuss about covalent radius, metallic radius and van der Waals radius, then you will fight with me for ionic radius. Ionic radius means release of positive and negative and forming, that is exactly ionic. Ionic is the strongest bond, but covalent is exactly weaker than ionic bond, and this is the weakest bond. But you can see that the space between them, that is exactly comparatively the radius part is more, and van der Waals. Van der Waals means it will be van der Waals radius is for monoatomic atoms. Monoatomic atoms means the atoms which are capable of existing in nature in free state. Means they don't need anyone to combine with it. So when they don't want anyone to combine with it, so their radius will be exactly, you see, their radius will be more in compared to other, and because of that such noble gases, the noble gas family atomic radius is higher in compared to that of halogen. Now you are going towards halogen, the halogen will be forming covalent radius, chlorine chlorine together, chlorine chlorine together. So chlorine and chlorine, fluorine fluorine, bromine bromine, they will exactly tie with them each other, so they will be forming a radius with each other. So that is called as covalent radius. But between the metals also, then between the metals also there is a type of bonding. The metal can also have attractive force and they can hold, but they are weaker in compared to that of all others. Then you will be saying, auntie, how can metal combine with metal? Is it possible, auntie? We have never seen a metal combining with another metal. When you saw metal combining with other metal and forming metallic radius, can you prove it, auntie? So I am having a point also to prove you, because I am knowing my children. So here you have to understand, when metal form a bond with another metal, or metal can form a bond with itself and metal can form a bond with another metal, then it will be the first time you are understanding, because you always know metal combined with non-metal, covalent bonding, sharing, metal, non-metal, ionic bond. Van der Waals means isolated atoms, van der Waals. Now here coming metallic bond. No, metal is forming a bond. Come on, metal and metal is forming a bond. Means today sleep will not come. Why? Because from between two metal atoms, the bond which is exactly forming is called as metallic bond. How they are forming, beta? The atoms are unstable. They do not have full electron rings. They will not have. The most important thing, in a simple way to see the metallic bond, na, just see this structure. It will clear your concept. You have to understand that ki copper is a metal. Copper is a metal. Now how copper can hold together with each other? Because copper and copper, na, pure copper is also existing now. So how they are exactly existing? How they are combining and forming copper structure? So it is exactly because of electrons and ions. Electrons and ions. See, electrons of the copper atom and the ions, they try to loosely hold them together, and that is exactly a type of formation of metallic bond. So now how it is happening? See, the valence electron of metal atom can be modeled as a sea of electron. Means the outermost electron, na, present in copper, so they are exactly called as valence electron. So they will be forming free electrons. Okay, so now in the story you have to understand, copper outermost orbit electrons are free electrons. Now what the free electrons are doing? The valence electron are mobile and can drift freely from one part of the metal to another. So these electrons are free, so they can move in the metal very easily. Now metallic bond consists of attraction between free floating valence electron and the positively charged metal ions. So the copper, na, after releasing electron, it will become copper ion, Cu2 plus. Now no one is there to hold a bond, so copper itself will make bond with the valence electron. So the ion and electron bonding is called as metallic bond. This is the only story. This is the only story. I hope my children might have understood. So metallic bond also occur, beta. Metallic bond also occur. So metallic bond occur between whom? No. I am having class with 12th class. I am having class. They will exactly shout on me. I hope. Yes, beta. So the different metals like sodium, magnesium, they can be forming that. So the thing here is the valence electrons na, the valence free electron, mobile electrons na, they will be holding the ions and the electrons, they will be holding them, and that is exactly a type of metallic bond. I hope my children understood difference between metallic bond, covalent bond, ionic bond, van der Waal. Van der Waal is for whom? Van der Waal is for monoatomic atoms, noble gases. You see here the exactly positive, 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 these are the positive ions and the free mobile valence electrons. So they exactly metal cations and free electrons, they are only going to hold them together to make a mobile. Okay, I'm going to start your class, beta. I'm so sorry. Fine. So next class, I think tomorrow class I'm going to, this is a very interesting point, this video I'm going to send you so that you can study this one nicely. I hope you might have understood this point. So that's it, beta. Good night everyone. Enjoy your night, beta. I'm so sorry, I have to stop here only. Okay.